Hello, everybody.
Yo, what's going on?
Hey everyone.
Welcome to the Anime Mystics podcast. I'm Roman.
I'm Steven Sonosuke-sama.
And I'm Sakiel.
Uh, Today's kind of a filler episode because, we're not done with our winter episodes for the season yet, and spring is just starting up.
Yes.
So we need to talk about what we thought of last season and probably what we're going to be watching this coming up season.
Yes.
Going to be a lot, I can tell you that. I want to try to keep it to a minimum, but I doubt I will. So today we're just talking about video games. Just in general, nothing specific. As far as I know.
Yeah, it's kind of like Roman says, the flashback episodes. So it's like, what was our early involvements in video games and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yep. All right, so do you want to start us off, Sakiel?
Yeah, sure. So basically, like for today's episode, we're just going to have pretty much like a video game discussion roundtable. So it's going to be a pretty chillax episode this time around while we try to catch up with our shows because I'm sure behind. That's like behind all the shows that are not reviewed healers. So yeah, so yeah, like what the guy said, it's like it's gonna be like our flashback episode, but like with video games. So yeah, I can start us off. So basically, like for me, when I start off on video games, like I start off a little bit more earlier than I think the both of you, because when I grew up with arcades. So, but when I talk about arcades, it's not just like like the arcades like when you go to like you go to a pizzeria and they have like a little arcade like kind of like in the corner, like in the back of the pizzeria, and you're playing like Narc and like Gauntlet and all that, or we go to like a like a golf land and they have like arcade games there. Like for me, it's like you would go to like a convenience store, like a 7-Eleven or a mom and pop like convenience store, and they would have like a Neo Geo machine like sitting there. So more often than not, like they would have like maybe a Fatal Fury game or a Samurai Showdown game that you could play. So it was pretty much a big deal at the time growing up, where you would you would go to a supermarket, you would go to a comic book store, and more often than not, they would have a arcade cabinet sitting somewhere, just to bring the crowds and stuff. Because that's like pretty much like how when you go to a gas station and you have the little like food mart where it's like, oh, while you fuel up your car, why about fuel up yourself and get like some snacks and some drinks. So that was kind of like the draw at the time. So basically, like for me, like one of my fondest memories as far as like arcades is there was a pizza joint called Mountain Mike's where I lived in Sacramento, and they had a Mortal Kombat 2 machine, but it was like one of the earlier versions of Mortal Kombat 2 where everything was janky. So when I say everything is janky, I'm going to try to give you guys the best example I can give for those of you who are not really big into fighting games. So Katana, like she's like the female ninja with fans, right? So she has like this really nasty corner combo you can do. So like when you have the person in the corner, what you can do is like you can like pretty much keep in the crouching position, and you can just jab the person like an air juggle. And she can like do this in the corner, and they'll just be stuck, And also the whole thing about with those fighting games at the time too is that the biggest way they would eat away at your quarters is they would read button inputs. So the AI would like cheat on you. So you would try to like throw a projectile or like do a throw, and the computer would counter it like faster than like humanly possible. So it's like pretty much you fighting against like a Taz robot. So but that's how they got your quarters at the time, And there are videos on YouTube that cover that. Death, who is he's really well known for like being like crazy combos on like Street Fighter and other fighting games. Like he did do like this video for like Street Fighter 2 on like how the CPU cheats you, like all like the little like frame traps and everything to where it would react to you like it's faster than humanly possible. There were like a couple of videos that people have done going back to Mortal Kombat where they would do like the button inputs, they read the inputs, and then of course like they react back to where, of course, the reaction faster than humanly possible. So, and another big thing too, also for me growing up is because malls were still a big deal at the time. So this is like, for me, this is like late 80s, early 90s. You would go to a mall, and then the malls would have an arcade you would go to. So that was a big deal too. It was going to the mall, and like you just like hang out with your friends, and you just go to the arcade just to chill, pretty much. So.
So, a couple of things. One, to go back to recap the very first thing, it sounds like you lived in the part of California where The Wizard was filmed.
Oh, really?
No, I'm just making that comment. I'm being a jerk. I'm saying that you lived in that universe that The Wizard took place in, where there was an arcade or a Nintendo machine and everything. Even the hotel room had a Nintendo machine. There was an arcade everywhere. And then the what you were saying about the AI cheats you in fighting games is true, because I remember Street Fighter 2, where M. Bison would just spam Psycho Crushers. He would just, and that was even in one of the counselors' corners in Nintendo Power, where they were like, "How do I beat M. Bison? He's just like spamming Psycho Crushers," and everyone was all like, "You're playing Guile and you have to charge down back." But then the AI doesn't charge at all. He's just going from one side of the screen to the other. And it's all like, bro, are you serious? So it was, yeah, you're absolutely right. And yeah, I wasn't very big on the arcade scene at all. But I remember feeling so happy when I encountered a Samurai Showdown 64 machine. And I was like, oh. And that's when I discovered that Shiki is waifu. So, so glad that she came back. And of course, well, I was about to say they made her DLC. I was like, she's not DLC, she's a base character. But yeah. Good stuff.
And that was like the big thing that I missed about like with toy stores. Like you would go to like a Toys R Us or like a KB, and they would have like a demo kind of like kiosk set up for you to try games. So like you would go and like try out some Nintendo games or try out some Sega Genesis games. And that's what I miss the most, because it's like now it's like you would go to like to a Target or something, and you'd be lucky if like their demo machine for the Switch is even working, or they even have demo machines at all. But that was also a big thing too back then. Like they would have like the video game like part of the store you would go to, and they have like the demo machines and like the way they have it set up on the Toys R Us, which is different than how it's set up now, where it's like for now they would have like the games behind the cases, right? Or if you like say if you were go to a GameStop, they have like a display case, and you're like, oh hey, I want this game, and they have it behind the counter. How they have it set up for Toys R Us for us is that they would have like kind of like display picture of the game, like for the box art, and it would have a slip that you could take, and you take to the front and you pay for your game. When you pick up your game, you go to like kind of like the front part of the store, which is like a cage, like kind of like a chain link fence kind of cage. You would go to, it's like, oh hey, I want to pick up this game, and that's where you picked up your game, was at this cage at the front of the store.
Amazing. Yeah. Roman here is a bit of an expert at KB Toys.
Yeah, I used to work there during high school.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man.
Let's just say I hate people because of it.
I told you he's a bit of an expert. Sounds like he's worked retail.
Yeah, I think that was around when the PlayStation 2 was... PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 was coming out. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
PlayStation 1 was out. PlayStation 2, I think, was just released maybe a few months after or a year or so after I started. One time, I remember we had almost everything in the case stolen.
Oh, dang.
I don't know how it happened. I just remember going over to the case, and the case was forced open, and just about everything was gone, except for, like, the bad games.
They knew what they were doing. They knew what they were doing.
It's like all the sports games, like, left in the case.
Oh, man.
No, it was like Barbie and...
They took all the copies of Final Fantasy X, and they left all the copies of the Bouncer.
Hey.
Oh, God, not the Bouncer.
You know, I randomly, I don't know if it was on one of y'all or if I just stumbled on it, but I think that Sakurai was in the Bouncer. And I was like, this guy's been in everything. God, he played one of the characters in the Bouncer. And I was like, alright, I see you, Sakurai. Stupid, sexy Proto Arthur. But, and what's funny too is, although I wasn't, Rowan and I had, like, we knew each other because we had mutual friends at the time, and, you know, we were in the same high school.
Yeah.
So we were pretty much, like, passing acquaintances at the time. But we worked in the same mall. Because I worked at the Macy's at the time that Roman was at the KB Toys, and that's how I knew. And I don't know if I bought it from him directly, but I know that I bought my copy of Roller Coaster Tycoon from his KB Toys.
Oh, wow.
And Roller Coaster Tycoon's the shit, and you can't change my mind. I was always hoping that one day we'd get a console release of Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Wow.
So, yeah, there you go. That's a skeleton in the closet for me. I love Harvest Moon and Roller Coaster Tycoon. The pink hair and anime titties guy likes Roller Coaster Tycoon. If we ended this podcast right now and Roman's like, let's play Roller Coaster Tycoon, I'd be on it. Boom, like that. On it. I'd be streaming it. It'd be the next video up on the channel. But yeah, that's funny that you were bringing up KB Toys and Roman's like, he's got stories.
Oh, yeah. Like, the kiosk we used to have, it wasn't even like you could play the games. It was just like a demo reel where they showed the games off for like the PlayStation. We stopped doing that, and I started putting it on my Dragon Ball movies. Like the Japanese ones.
Oh, wow.
We got a lot of people coming in, so hey.
You were Crunchyroll from 20 years ago.
And when Tekken Tag first came out,
Oh yeah.
one of our managers would bring in his PlayStation 2 and just have little tournaments.
Hmm.
But it was more like they had to try to beat him,
Okay. All right.
and nobody did.
All right.
Oh,
So
wow.
to keep it in the DBZ context, he was Cell.
Yeah, he was Cell.
Okay.
And everybody else was the Z Fighters. The only difference was that Gohan never showed up.
You never got to that episode.
No.
Do you remember who he would use? Who his team was?
He used a little bit of everybody.
Oh, okay.
He wasn't
Ooh.
just he just didn't stick with like a certain team. He would switch around.
Oh, that's the worst when they do random. Ooh.
Yeah, I couldn't beat him, I know that. But I kind of suck at Tekken, so I was more Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat, and I think at the time DOA, because I think DOA 2 was a PlayStation 2 game.
Yeah, it was a launch title.
So yeah, I played those. But Tekken, I had Tekken Tag, but I sucked at it. So it was fun times when customers weren't being jerks.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
I remember I was trying to sell someone Final Fantasy 8. Like this one kid came in, I forget, he was like 13 or something.
Okay.
But he came in and he was asking about a game, and I was telling him about it.
Mhm.
And then he came and got his mom. And his mom wouldn't buy it for him because it had demons and stuff in it.
One of those.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. I was tempted to say, but you're like an exorcist because you're killing the demons. But I didn't because she'd probably yell at me. And yeah. So I was like, okay, sorry, kid.
Tried.
I tried.
And that's rare for Roman. Like I said, very rare for Roman to go Shonen Jump main character and try to help out the poor innocent people. But here he is, kindness of his heart, and it still got denied. That sucks.
Yep, still got denied.
That sucks.
What can you do?
And I'll bet that kid right now is out there, and he's still just like hates video games and all that. It's like Call of Duty. He's like, weep shit sucks. I hate it.
Right.
Just because of that one incident too. Final Fantasy VIII, of course, being a awful game, but great character. Laguna, it's my boy. Love Laguna. Sorry, Cloud fans.
No, 8 made it onto the best Final Fantasy games at number 7.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Also, Cloud was number 1 as the best Final Fantasy character.
Of course. Keeps reminding. I know that Ego Raptor is in the huff lately, but I still just think of Final Fantasy Awesome. That's why it's the best game ever. So when the guy in Discord, he's like, I've never played 7. I was like, man, I don't even like 7, and I've played that game so much I could blind run it right now. Right now, I could blind run it. Because, like Sakiel was saying, I mean, if you grew up in our era, you just knew 7. 7 kicked off the whole JRPG craze, and technically still hasn't really ended, you know?
Yep.
Like fighting games died off for a while at the turn of the century, but turn of the millennium, to be fair. But JRPGs never did. JRPGs kept going and going and going, and still are. So, but yeah.
I mean, you got waifus, so.
Right? That's the secret. That's the secret.
And also, like, one thing I missed too was back when I was still living in Ohio at the time, they had a Funkoland at a mall, and God, I miss those type of shops where it's like it's kind of like a precursor GameStop, but not as evil.
They bought them out, so you know.
Yeah.
We used to have a Funkoland out here.
Yeah, but what was great about Funkoland for me was they would have like stations set up where it's like, oh, you can try out the games before you buy them, and that's like still very rare. You know, like you're able to do that. So, like I was able to try out like so many different like Saturn games because I didn't have Saturn at the time, and
nobody did.
Yeah. And,
wait, which
but
one?
it was like,
Sega
there was like one game in particular.
My uncle had that.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, you're good.
Oh no, it's like there was like one Saturn game that I was interested at the time because this is back when working designs was a big deal. So they had the license to do an English version of Magical Knight Ray Earth game for the Saturn.
Right.
And I was like kind of like interested of like how the game was because it's like, oh, you can play as the 3 characters, we can switch them on the fly. I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. So I tried that out, and then they had like Guardian Heroes, the beat 'em up game. I got to try that for a bit. So I was able to try out different games at the time because because I knew like a lot of the people that worked there and they knew me. So when the store was like pretty much like it's like during like when it's pretty much dead, so kind of like around the afternoon, where because like people are still at work and stuff, and kids are still at school. So like I was able to try out so many different games, and it was really great. So it was kind of like trying out games, buying the ones that I wanted, and hung out with the employees for a bit. Oh, that was great. Like I miss those type of shops. You know.
It's well, yeah. A couple of things. It's funny you mentioned working designs because they did a Silhouette Mirage at GDQ. What 2 months ago? I was about to say last month. 2 months ago, so at the beginning of the year, and I was like, damn, I got to get me a copy. I forgot. I've always needed to get my own copy, but I remember actually playing that because our friend Anthony, we call him Ant, he had a Saturn, and he actually had that, and it was fun. It was basically like knockoff Legend of Zelda with like Secret of Mana style gameplay, because like you said, you could switch. But I mean, I was always an Umi fanboy, so fight me. And then the twist at the end, it was all like, it turns out the evil overlord is not the evil overlord. Ah! I can spoil it, right? The series is like 30 years old, right? We can spoil it now. But yeah, and then of course Mokana and all that. But it's also funny too because they trumped Funimation because they at Working Designs they always used the same like 7 voice actors, and they just recycled them. So it was basically the Lunar cast just doing Magical Knight Ray Earth characters. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, they were ahead of their time, and they definitely were in the middle of making weeb games popular in the 90s and all that as anime was starting to come up. But you also mentioned the policy and stuff. Like, I used to work at GameStop, and it was like that too. I actually, when I was managing stuff, I used to tell the guys by the end of my tenure, guys, just tell them straight up, because they don't read the receipt. You open this bitch, you can't return it. And so we were saying that. We were like, all right, it's a new game, so once you open it, can't bring it back, but if it doesn't work, we'll get you another copy of the same game. They're like, aight. And it was like that. It's just the policy, because most of them are like, how am I supposed to know if it's any good? And it's like, you have a smartphone, go on the internet, read reviews, use GameFly. Aight.
What's a smartphone?
Right? And I'm like, yeah, dude, or Redbox it. Remember Redbox?
They're still around.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And yeah, and that was it. And there was that system of try before you buy. That was long gone by the time I got to GameStop. And people just didn't get it, because at the time too, Blockbuster was phasing out, so you couldn't really go tell them to go rent it. And there was definitely one guy who knew how to use the computer lookup system, because he knew whenever we had a used copy, and he would treat us like GameStop. He would get the latest release, used, have it for a week, beat it, and then bring it back and be all like, yeah, I want to get this one. It was so weird. I eventually asked my district manager about it. I was like, bro, he's treating us like Blockbuster. Are you cool with that? He's all like, yeah, whatever. Oh, okay. All right. And I'm not gonna stop him then. I was like, bro, we're not a rental. There's some poor schmo out there that literally wants this game, and you're just like buying it, or yeah, you're holding on to it rather, and it's like, yeah,
holding it hostage.
Yeah, I was like, dude, it's not a rental. But yeah. And now, like you were mentioning before we started with Sony removing digital products, now owning physical really counts. So it's like, if people wanted to buy that physical disc and he's got it, and it's like, dude, that's not cool. But the higher ups didn't care, so yeah. The age of try before you buy is dead now. Mm-hmm. It's now buyer beware.
Yeah.
That reminds me of a dude that tried to return a game to us. And
it was me. You wouldn't take my Roller Coaster Tycoon. I'm just kidding. Roman was like, you used the CD key. I was like, no. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Go ahead.
I think it was Silent Hill or something.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like a little after Christmas. Mm. And you could tell something was up with it because he glued the plastic back on it.
Oh, my
God. Wow.
Because you could see the glue. It was like Elmer's glue. And we opened it, and it was like a CD, like a music CD.
Wow.
And the guy was just like, oh, man, it's a good thing I'm trying to return it then.
Oh,
like, what? We can't return this. We can't take this back.
I want to remind you, the mall that Roman and I worked at wasn't exactly high class. It was your run-of-the-mill, average, layman's mall. So what Roman said is that's the common occurrence over there.
And if you believe it, it's actually worse now.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can't have any good stores in there. They just go out of business.
Yeah, it's true. Man. But
I think that's why GameStop stuck around.
The whole GameStop move. That was the other one too. I was going to tell you, Sakiel. So it was Funko Land, and then it was EB Games.
Yeah.
And then somewhere it was Babbage's, but I don't think Babbage's ever made it out here to California.
No, I never seen that one.
Yeah, I think that was more like a Midwest thing. But they got that one first as they were making their way from Texas, where their headquarters is. They took Babbage's, then they came over to the West Coast. They took Funko, then they took EB Games, and then that was a wrap. Now it's just all GameStop.
GameStop.
Yep.
With its stonks. But man, yeah, I completely missed the arcade craze, and I mean that's why now I'm ass with a fight stick.
I still sucked with a stick when I was playing in arcades.
Yeah, I'm terrible.
Because we had one in the mall. There was one at Bayfair.
Yeah.
I used to go there all the time.
Yeah. It was that, and then when the Century movie theater opened up, then it kind of like they closed or phased out their arcade because they were like, just go to the theater. Yeah.
It's like I just want to play the games.
Yeah.
It also doesn't help that their crane games only have balls in them.
This card game is balls.
Yeah. It's just like those bouncy balls. So I was gonna play it, like, okay, what can I get out of here? And it's like, it's just balls. Like, never mind.
I remember the one at the other mall. That one actually, that was the one where they had a Dead or Alive cabinet, and I remember like, I'm losing my mind. And at the time, this was before when I was still loyal to my Shiranui. So rather than pick like Kasumi or I was gonna say Helena, Lei Feng, I actually picked Hayabusa. Because I was like, bruh, it's the Ninja Gaiden. You bet your sweet ass I'm playing him in a fighting game. You bet your ass. And so, that happened. And then around the corner, there was Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter. And whoever was the operator at the time never turned off free play mode. So I just started playing and snuck up in there. And then I guess he noticed it. And after a while, he was like, oh yeah, no, I gotta kick you off because I'm working on this. And then he just opened the quarter where you put the quarters, the slot, and then I guess he messed with the dip switches and turned it back off of free play. And I was like, you dick, you can't let a kid have fun.
No.
But yeah. Dead or Alive was an exception to the fight stick rule because let's be honest, you really don't need a movement stick in DOA. Now, in like DOA 6, yeah, because sidestepping is way more integral. But in like 1, 2, little bit of 3, you really didn't need to move in a direction. You just start tapping those attack buttons. The game will do the rest for you. Unless you're using Tina, in which case, yeah, you need to know your buttons and your directions to do your grapples.
You need to know directions? What the heck? Yeah. I don't want to know left and right.
But yeah.
That's for smart people.
Or be that one person attacking and just do wave dashes for days.
Right.
You know, I was going to say Roman's going to have to learn those Geese Howard combos, those Geese Howard hyper desperation moves. He's doing like infinity symbols over here.
I always loved playing what was it? Killer Instinct. That was my game. I was really good at Killer Instinct.
Sakyo, are you Killer Instinct?
I played more of one than I did two.
Yeah, same.
I actually did get around getting a Killer Instinct on Steam, like the new version,
Okay.
because I don't own an Xbox. So once I got like my new laptop, that was like one of the first games I got. I was like, oh hey, I should probably get like the Killer Instinct just to try it out.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about the new Killer Instinct, but I agree. One was the absolute shit.
It got some banging music too, man.
Yeah, Rare, man. Rare.
Mm-hmm.
When Rare wasn't pissing you off with RC Pro-Am and Battletoads and Cobra Triangle, they were actually making good games.
I loved RC Pro-Am. I had that game.
Oh, yeah, we did too.
That game was fun.
Dude, that game was so aggravating. You want to talk about cheating AI? Holy shit, man. after like the 10th or 12th race, that the yellow car, he's just like, fuck it, I'm done. And he just was like, the AI just goes off on you. It's like, I'm tired of you. And yeah. Yeah.
God. Yeah, I think my first Killer Instinct game was actually Killer Instinct Gold for the 64.
Does the console port of part 2?
I guess so. I wouldn't know. I'm not.
Yeah.
I never followed fighting games really.
No, it was basically what Capcom was doing when they did their home version. So they would just bring the arcade version over and just put like different like modes and sometimes extra characters. And if I remember right, I think Gold had a couple, like, was it character came back? I think it was like there was one extra or two extras that were not in the arcade, or the boss was unlocked or something in the console mode. That
was it Gargoyle?
Yeah,
he was unlocked.
Yeah.
I never used him though. I used was it Jago?
Jago?
Yeah. Jago, yeah, I used him.
Yeah.
I wasn't that good with the boss. He was too slow.
You're too slow. So, Mikhaila, Sakiel, I gotta ask.
It's okay.
Final Fight or Streets of Rage?
Ah, shit. Okay. I'm gonna be a bit biased on this because I started off my console era with Sega. I've never had a Nintendo. So like basically like I started off with the Atari 2600 and then the leap to a Sega Genesis. So for me, like I have fonder memories of Streets of Rage and I did Final Fight. So I mean I like both of the games, but like I said, because more of a bias because I started off on Sega, it's Streets of Rage for me pretty much all the way, and especially like with Yuzo Koshino's like soundtrack for the games too. It's like they're bangers. So and also Blaze's waifu. So
I was waiting for that. It's like Poison is waifu. Shifty eyes. No, it's I don't know. Actually, I do like Poison. So you know, that's no joke. That's no troll. I stand by that statement. I was gonna say too. How is it when you were making that transition from like you go and you're like looking at the Neo Geo machines, the MVS, and then you go and you're like, I have my Atari 2600. How was that feeling for you?
It was just so weird at the time too, because it's like for me at the time where it's kind of like this leap in technology, like how we're experiencing now. Like you know, like if you started off with like the PlayStation 2, and now you see how games look like now, like for PlayStation 5 and like the X series, and how PC games look like now, where it's like all photorealistic to the point where it's starting to hit like that uncanny valley, you know. So like for me, it's like me with the Atari 2600, and then I see like these console games like with like the 16-bit era, and it's like, oh shit, okay, this is cool. So a funny story on that, going back with my Sega Genesis story. When I first put up the Sega Genesis, it was the one that came with Sonic the Hedgehog. But at the time, this is when, of course, Nostalgia Trip, Circuit City was the thing at the time.
Oh, wow.
So like we're getting into Circuit City, and they had a deal where it's like, oh, if you buy like a console, you can get another game with it for like a reduced price or whatever, right? Yep. So not only my first game for the Genesis was Sonic the Hedgehog, my other first game for the Genesis was Alicia Dragoon.
Which one is that? Yeah.
So Alicia Dragoon, it's a side-scrolling action platformer. So this was done by a subsidiary of Gainax with the like I think it was like Game Arts or something that did the game. So you play as a female protagonist who's like a sorceress, but her primary attack is lightning. So what they did with the mechanic for the lightning is you start off with pretty much like a weak kind of like lightning attack that has like like a kind of like a stamina meter attached to it. So like you can only do the method for so long before it fizzles out, and you're pretty much left defenseless. But over time, like you can pick up power ups to where you can power up the lightning attack to where like if you charge it up, you do kind of like a rolling thunder like strike attack, which is really cool. And also you get like little like animal familiars to also go out with you too. So you have like a little dragon familiar. They have one literally like a fireball familiar. And it's a pretty fun game. It does get a little hard at times, but it's pretty fun. The music's actually really good too. So, but the reason why that was a hard sell for me at the time because it's like oh, I see you're a girl who happens to also play video games. How about this game that has a girl in the game for you as a girl to play the game?
I'm looking at it right now on Wiki, and she's got the chainmail, you know, that metal fantasy chainmail Red Sonja look, and automatically this game would not be remade in 2020. Or it would, and she'd be like in pants and, you know, like 7 shirts, and the hair would be, you know, the half cut off on one side and parted over on the other.
It's like nerfed chest and nerfed ass.
Yes. All the bad guys are all dudes. And they're all awful. You know how it goes.
Yeah.
Sega. Yeah. Yeah. So, but no, it looks fun, and they gave it a 90% rating on Metacritic apparently, and a 3 out of 5. So it still holds. I mean, you know, 90% on Metacritic automatically makes it better than The Last of Us 2. So, booyah! Got him.
Yeah, but which one won Game of the Year?
let me go back to 1992 I'll tell you. You know, what Roman meant to say is, well, which one won Racing Game of the Year? And that would be The Last of Us 2. Here's your sports game of the year, The Last of Us 2. So somebody asked me that when I did that meme thing where it was like, you know, the first game you ever played, the last game you ever played, and the worst game you ever played. And they were like, well, how did it end up being your worst game? And I was like, well, it won every other category, so I didn't want it to forget one.
Yeah.
So, you know. But yeah, that's great. Yeah. Yeah, it looks fun. And they never put this on one of their like 27 compilation discs of Sega games, because I've never seen this one.
No, it's probably because of licensing. Because I think technically it's a Gainax IP. So.
Oh, hey, no, I take that back. It says it was on the Mini, the Sega Genesis Mini.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. I think. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Despite the acclaim the game received, it was not a commercial success.
Right? Because you know, these kids back in the day, man, it was all too hard for them.
Plus female pro tag.
Yeah.
Who wants that?
Yeah, no, yeah.
I'd rather play Metroid with that manly dude.
Yeah, killing all the aliens. That Samus guy.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's Sam. Who doesn't say that Metroid guy?
Metroid.
That Metroid guy was great. Not as manly as Kid Icarus. His name was Pit. And you know, funny enough, I learned maybe 2017. I actually went and looked up. I was like, was Palutena in the original NES? And sure enough, there she was in pixel art Palutena. I was all like, oh yeah, she was in the original. Go figure. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I never played the original Kid Icarus. I played of Myths and Monsters on the Game Boy, and that one was different. But I mean, that's also like saying you didn't play the original Metroid NES, but you played Metroid 2: Return of Samus. So it's like, okay.
My first one was Super Metroid.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah. I had to go back and play Metroid on emulator to say that I finally played it. But that was me with a lot of games, just because the rentals out here, the rental places here in my part of the Bay Area were really limited, and you know, and they were also businesses. So if it wasn't like the latest, greatest big name game, you're probably not gonna find it. So a lot of the times it was Ninja Gaiden and Double Dragon. That's what we rented. So that was what was available. Double dribble, Blades of Steel. So,
I had double dribble.
Yeah, yeah. That always getting those awkward traveling calls.
You know what game I kept from Blockbuster for so long that they just sold it to us?
Which one?
King of the Monsters.
Of course.
I think we had that game for like 7 months before my grandpa went down there, and they're like, "Do you want to just buy it? The late fees are pretty extravagant."
Good guy, Blockbuster.
So yeah, my grandpa just bought it from him. Like, nice. Now I don't have to return it.
And that's when Roman developed his love for Godzilla.
Oh no, I'd been a Godzilla fan way before then.
You know, you mentioned this too in the beginning, but I think that the next podcast, I hope it doesn't become a coping session where it's just Roman like, and then that stupid monkey, stupid ass gorilla gets up, and then he's just all like John Cena, he won't stay down. He's like, oh no. Shit. I'm not, don't be surprised if I just go, you know what, fuck it, I'm just gonna go watch it. I'm just gonna go, I just want to be a part of this. My brother was telling me that Violet Evergarden is actually being shown, like, as we speak, tonight. Yeah. So I was like, oh, Fate's Day Night.
Nice. I mean, it does have Saber in it.
Yeah, it's true. In Ayako Kawasumi's honor for her birthday.
Yeah.
Did you, okay, well, first off, let me go back to talking, and then I'll ask Roman the question.
Yeah.
Were you fond of the Sega Genesis music chip? Because I know that a lot of arcade games actually use the same, like, sound technology that the Sega Genesis did, and that's why you got a bunch of those, like, games like the Moonwalker, for instance, was like the brown, 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 and then, you know, the Nintendo games. Well, the Super used stereo chips, but the NES had to use the chiptune bit sounds. So, what'd you think about that? Were you big on that?
As far as for chip tunes and that sort of thing, funny enough, I didn't really get into video game music until I first played Revenge of Shinobi. And when I first heard the music for Revenge of Shinobi, I was like, oh man, this is my jam. Oh shit, son. You know? It was just so great because it was such a new medium at the time, because back then it was it's just one of those things you didn't think about. You can watch a movie and then you have the music in the movie, and it's oh, that's some pretty good music, but you don't really think about that in video games at the time, because it's pretty much you're more absorbed in the spectacle of the game, for the story and the characters. You didn't really think that much about the music. It's kind of later down the line, it's okay, this, I remember this game, and this track that played during this scene and blah blah blah, so for me it was Revenge of Shinobi, that's what hit it for me. And then with Streets of Rage, still with Yuzo Koshiro, it was damn, okay, because it's one of those composers that really understands technology, because you basically you would have composers where it's oh, I'm just gonna do beeps and bloops and that's music, right? But Yuzo, he has been doing music for video games for so long, back during what's it, the MSX computers, the PC PC-88, those type of chip tunes. So he's very accustomed to making music, for those type of soundboards and stuff. So which made me appreciate the music from the Sega Genesis then off for the Super Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
But my only exception for the music from Super Nintendo, because it's more stereo MIDI, is for the role-playing games, because they have the synthesized orchestra, and it would just fit so well with the role-playing games. And I know I talk about Chrono Trigger all the time, like a broken record. But believe me when I say, like, when I first heard the music for Chrono Trigger, like when you first hear that opening theme, it was like, dude, I was marking out so hard. It's like, oh shit, like Super Nintendo music can get this good. Oh shit, man. You know, so and that was it for me.
It's it's unfortunate that well, if you follow the Chrono Trigger team, they're basically what's now known as Monolith Soft, and that means that they're the guys that made Xenoblade Chronicles, and Nintendo censorship just hit them, and I'm all like, bruh. And I always remember when I had this conversation with our friend Will. Roman knows who he is. We were going to Anime Expo 2016, and I was telling him about Shin Megami Tensei Fire Emblem. And I was like, yeah, bro, they censored it, and they took out dumb shit, and they're doing all this censors. I'm like, bro, it's not for you. It's for the Nintendo kids. And I'm like, fuck them kids. They don't buy games. I buy games. He's all like, yeah, but they don't care about you. They know they got your weed money. Now they want the kids. And I'm like, fuck Nintendo. This is related to the story because that's why I don't play Xenoblade Chronicles. So and I probably never will, even though if it looks great, don't get me wrong, I'm sure it's worthy of all the praise. And tracing their lineage back to, you know, they did the Namco Cross Capcom games, all 7 of those games. They did Xenosaga, they did Xenogears, and it's like Chrono Cross, obviously, Chrono Blitz, which got canceled, and it's like they're a great studio, and among them, one of the songs that always comes up on Smooth McGroove's channel is one of the themes from Xenogears, and it's like talking about music that they've composed, and it's like, it's great, but womp womp. But yeah, I don't fault you on the Chrono Trigger music. It's good stuff. It's probably one of the first times I actually respected an Akira Toriyama property. Outside of the other great Square Akira Toriyama collab, Tobal #1. They didn't have the balls to give us Tobal #2 because they were afraid that I would punch that black chocobo right in his beak. Yeah, well, yellow and black chocobo were like actual characters in there. I was like, oh my god. And they didn't. I guess Tobal #1 never sold.
I played 2.
Really?
My uncle had it
Aww.
because he had his system chipped.
Lucky bum.
So yeah, I played that one.
Did you main chocobo?
No, I can't remember any of their names, but I didn't main the chocobo.
Yeah, it was all wacky Akira Toriyama names. like Merle and Chrono and Frog.
Oh, Frog.
And Robo, who just stole... Yeah, actually, it's funny that you mentioned that now. Because you're like, I love the music, including Rick Astley.
Yeah.
So Robo's theme, when he first comes out, actually sounds just like Never Gonna Give You Up.
Oh, really?
So, of course, they meme the hell out of that. And it's always...
Well, yeah, he never gave it up to Luca, so...
Oh... Luca's the poor man's Bulma. Square Enix Bulma. So it's okay. Toriyama, he gets the last laugh because
he gets all the money.
Exactly.
Which is funny because he forgets a lot of everything from Dragon Ball.
Really?
Yeah, he doesn't remember a lot of the stuff that happened in that series.
So let me sidetrack for just a moment. It's about Toriyama. So, is it intentional and is it spiteful? Like, does he hate it like Harrison Ford hates Star Wars, or is he just like, eh?
It's not hateful. Like, he doesn't hate it. It's just like people bring stuff up and they're like, I don't even remember that.
Okay. But he's not like a dick or anything about it.
No, it's just like that happened.
Okay,
I guess if you say so.
No, let me sign your piece of paper and get out of here, kid.
Get out of here, you bother me.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah, that's what I wanted to know, because Harrison Ford is like, remember that time he's all like, I don't even know what the hell the Force is, kid. Get out of here. Get off my lawn. So, that's why it's in that kind of response. I'm sure that Toriyama doesn't have any animosity for his fans because he definitely likes cashing in those paychecks.
Right.
But that's just funny. And I can't even fault him either because I don't even know his involvement with Dragon Ball Super these days or anything that's like going or Kai or whatever they're on. I think it's still Super, right?
Yeah, basically Super. He came up with the story, and I can't remember the name of the dude that's drawing it.
Okay.
But he gave a copy of the story to him and a copy to Toei.
Yeah.
And just told them to do what they wanted with it. So the manga and the anime have like different outcomes on certain things, like the way they're done.
So, in other words, that's completely the opposite of what Disney did with George Lucas. Because George Lucas also gave them some script and some story, and they were like, "Thanks, George," and they promptly threw it away.
Yeah. And then complained that they didn't have any material to go by.
Yeah. Oh.
Like, you had years of books and comics to go through, and you just said, "No, we don't need that."
And even word from Lucas himself, because even Lucas was all like, he didn't follow any of the extended universe, but he still never denied it either.
Nah.
But, that's, two kinds of industries.
Right.
Oh, man. Okay. But, and that's unfortunate, too, because Square, I don't know what Square is doing. Speaking a little bit about retro stuff, like I was going through my the Super NES Atlas, right? And one of the games that are in the first chapter is UN Squadron, which is basically Area 88. And I'm all like, every year when they put out the upcoming titles, I just keep humming like, is this the year that Area 88's gonna get a remake? And I'm like, come on, give it to me. Give it to me. Give it to me. Put Mamoru Miyano. Put Sugita. Come on, give it to me. Put Haruka Tsumatsu. Give it to me. And then every year I get disappointed. So it's just not gonna happen. It's just not gonna happen, man. And then Capcom was like that too, because Capcom and Square were just going at it. They were fearless. They didn't care. They would take anime and manga based properties and actually make them work. Mm-hmm. And we just don't get that anymore. The age of the video game age of exploration is dead. Now it's Final Fantasy 17 and Resident Evil 9. Image.
Resident Evil Code Veronica remake.
Yeah. If that game over screen doesn't say Death by Snoo Snoo, I'm going to be very disappointed in Resident Evil.
It's not. You're going to be disappointed.
Aww. Okay. And I say this as I've got the Metal Gear Marathon streaming right now on Twitch. So Twitch does this thing where they send you an email to your email, which basically said what was your most viewed channel. And apparently this was my most viewed channel because they do this marathon monthly now. I thought it was going to be Games Done Quick, but apparently I watched these guys more, so hey. But it's so funny too because you saw what Kojima was doing and all that. And Kojima himself, he just did an interview not a couple weeks ago, or in Famitsu maybe, or one of the recent magazines. And he was saying, what was he saying? Something like story is dead or something like that in video games now, storytelling is dead. Yeah. Which is pretty ballsy considering that this guy just mishmashed a bunch of stories to make his own quote-unquote story, but
that's why it's dead.
Yeah.
He would know.
Yeah. Frankenstein his own stories. But yeah.
Yeah, it's says the guy it does pandemic delivery guy simulator.
Right? Oh man. Yeah. It's and that's weird timing because no one really thought about that, but it was only Kojima could have done that. Where it's all I'm gonna make this game about a world where everything is delivered, and then the next year is literally a time where the only thing you can do is have everything delivered. So it's like, well, if this guy didn't predict the future. It's also funny too because in Metal Gear Solid 2, that was the theme was information censorship, and obviously that's a big deal in the current age too. And it's like, shut up, Kojima. So, but yeah, it's funny because that's like what Sakiel said. We went from the days of MVS cabinets, and let me ask you this, Sakiel. In your experience, when you went to that TMNT cabinet, which was the turtle that was always broken?
Leonardo.
Thank you. I was going to say Leonardo. So, okay. It was Leonardo. That is correct. It was always Leonardo. I don't know why. I think it was because he was always on the end, because he was always the most accessible, but it was always him, and so it was all like, well, I'm Michelangelo, so I'm always safe. But everybody else, but it was like, yeah, Leo couldn't move, the joystick couldn't move, and it was all like, bro, what's up with that? Why was it always Leonardo that was always broken on the cabinet?
Yeah, it's like with the X-Men cabinet, right? It was always Wolverine that was broken.
Yeah, oh yeah. I believe that one. But I was always a Nightcrawler or Dazzler myself. Just because, Nightcrawler is the teleport. That was pretty OP. And it wasn't until years later that I developed an appreciation for Colossus.
Colossus.
Yeah, no one knows what. That was clearly never a power he displayed in any of the Deadpool movies, but
No, he was just what do you call it? A Boy Scout.
RoboCop.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, because they would make fun of that in the Deadpool movies.
Yeah. It's good times. You took the line from RoboCop. You did. That's the RoboCop. Anyways. MCU. But yeah, that's So I mean, I grew up on the NES. I started on the NES. Obviously, Mario Brothers 1. We had the Duck Hunt combo, and then we were, like I said, we were renting games. And then at the library, that's where I got all my other game information. And it was so funny because Nintendo Power was so great at marketing that they would like hype up my little prepubescent mind. And I was like looking at Super C, and I was like, dude, this game looks like the shit. And then I would get it, and I'd be like, this game sucks ass. Fuck this game. Ah! Nintendo Power, you lied. And I know a couple of weeks ago. Well, okay, this was spurred because, again, at GDQ is also how I play the games that I never got the chance to play, so I fill in a lot of gaps. So, they did River City Girls. And so I was watching the VOD, and I know a couple weeks ago in Discord, maybe even in February now, I was falling down the Kunio-kun well. And I remember Nintendo Power because they had an issue where one of the games they covered was Crash and the Boys, and I didn't know that was part of the Kunio-kun extended universe. Like, you want to talk about MCU? Goddamn, River City Ransom has and they're still making them. They're like they just put out in 2015 or 2016, they put out a 25-year anniversary edition. And I'm like, God damn. There's 37 games, even the quiz games are considered part of the Kunio-kun universe. I'm like, who's making these? Who's even got the rights? They've been passed around so much. And one of the games that we actually, like I said, with my brothers and I, we would always end up renting the same games. And one of the games that we actually rented almost at least once or twice a year was Super Dodgeball. That's also part of the Kunio-kun universe. And I'm all like, wait, what? And it's clearly, and it was all like, oh yeah, so Kunio's rival, which is the rich preppy kid, hires a bunch of guys from all over the world to come and beat up Kunio-kun in his school because he's too great at sports and athletics, and they're gonna make an example out of him. So Kunio and his boys go and they fight back, and I'm like, what is this? and I still can't explain because they Super Dodgeball is meant to be international, right? And it shows like the Statue of Liberty. You're going you fight in front of the capital in Moscow. I can't. Oh man, the Kremlin. The Kremlin is clearly in the background, and I'm like, so this guy hires like Americans and Russians to beat up Kunio. How much does he hate Kunio-kun? Jesus. And I'm just like, what is this? And then I learned too that the two Misako and what's her tits and River City Girls, they were actually playable in the Super Nintendo version. And I'm like, there's a fucking Super Nintendo version? So now I'm like, oh god, did they kill all the emulator sites yet? I keep hearing that yes they did, and then I keep hearing that no there's not. And I mean I'm pretty good at finding this stuff anyways, but then I'm like, if I have time to play Kunio-kun on Super Nintendo, I probably have time to go watch some of the shows I didn't watch last year. And I'm just like, bruh. So yeah, and it's like, damn. I know that one of the other ones in our Discord, she's also big into the Kunio-kun fandom, but you know it's deep, it's deep. Yeah, and and it's funny because it's the same guys that made Double Dragon as well. So you know that I've got to be in on it. You know that I've got to get involved in it. And then they were in the GDQ when they were doing River City Girls. Apparently, our good buddy Christina V. Christina V actually was in charge of all of the dub work.
Oh wow.
Yeah, she was what do they call the producer or the director? I think the producer, right? Like
I think so.
Yeah, she was the one in charge of like guiding everyone, telling them like that sucks, do another take. All of that was all her.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so shout outs to Christine. I think we're still Facebook friends. So at AOD at Animation on Display, she actually came and co-emceed our Blaze Blue tournament because she's Noelle.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So yeah, so props to her, and she plays one of the bad girls. I don't think it's the main boss, but maybe it was. But yeah, so that's some useless trivia for you there. But yeah, as long as it's not Funimation. But yeah, so that's that was one of the things too that stuck with me and all of that. I guess I could say too that I could well, Super Dodgeball was definitely a game where the AI could cheese you, but at the same time too, it was like the gameplay was kind of restrictive, so as long as you knew the mechanics, you could cheese the AI back, and as long as you cheesed them before they cheesed you, you'll be fine. But yeah. One of these days, maybe when I retire, I'll finally go and play the patched version of Kunio-kun Super Nintendo. But yeah, and then I was Nintendo. I was Team Nintendo until PlayStation, and then I skipped 64 and jumped over to PlayStation. Then I was Sony. I was Sony till I die, until PS5 broke my heart, and so now it's like, it's the ultimate betrayal, man. It was like when Marty Jannetty turned his back on Shawn Michaels. That's how it felt. It was worse than Anakin and Obi-Wan. You were my console, PlayStation. I loved you like a brother. And then Sony's down there. I hate you. Oh, on fire.
It's like, aha, I have the high ground now, sucker.
Yeah. with my PC, I have the high ground now. But PC's not exactly the ones putting lens flares on Trish's ass crack. So, what you gonna do? But yeah. So my question now, Mikhaila, my follow-up question to you is, when did you get into Animal Crossing?
So the funny thing about Animal Crossing was that I didn't play anything before New Leaf. So I didn't even play the original game on the GameCube at all. I mean, it's like I knew of the game, but just like because I didn't have a GameCube at the time, like I didn't play it at the time. So I didn't get to play that. I didn't get to play, like City Folk or whatnot. So my first exposure with Animal Crossing was New Leaf, and I just bought it on a whim. So it's like kind of like one of those situations like where, it's like, oh hey, like this game looks interesting, because it's like, it was generating a lot of buzz at the time, So like when New Leaf was out, it was like, okay, I'll give it a chance, because it was like, yeah, like I said at the time, I was generating a lot of buzz, and then like after that, it was just like, okay, I see where people are getting at, like with, like when you get so attached to your villagers, and like try not to get them to leave, and then like when people want to kick a particular villager out because they look ugly, that sort of thing, So
I mean, that sounds justified.
Animal Crossing discrimination.
He's uglying up our village.
His face is bringing down the property value. Get out.
And that was when I was starting to get into the backgrounds of the characters too, because like, I mean, I knew that Tom Nook was a Tanuki, and then like it was kind of like a play on Tanuki with his name. So it was like me looking up, like the backgrounds of the characters. I was like, damn, like this kid's game has like lore, like holy shit, Like when I was talking about you guys, like when I was talking about when I was gushing over like the first anniversary of New Horizons, it was like, damn, like this series has like a ton of lore, It was like pretty crazy, like with that, and then like when I played Happy Home Designer, which is pretty much is an interior designer like simulation game, but just with the Animal Crossing skin on it, and you start learning about their background too on that game, and it's like it's like a spin-off game, and like you have like characters telling them, like their biography and shit, because like like how I was telling you guys about Tom Nook and about like Crazy Red, like their theme. So apparently like for KK Slider, he has some background too. Like when he talks about how he was literally like a starving artist. Like when he first got into music, like he would like go like try to find like a gig, like when you have like a like when you start off with a garage band, or you're starting off yourself and you're just trying to go like to different clubs or whatnot, like trying to get a gig, right? So, and that's when Shrunk, that Axolotl, like first saw his talent, and like kind of like had him like pretty much be, like his opening act and stuff, So you have like KK Slider, and then you have DJ KK, which is kind of like, like the club version of KK Slider. Yeah. So like he was like talking about how, like with the music, like it's like, hey, I'm not in it for the fame or anything. It's like I do it for the passion of the music, and like just pretty much like just wanting to touch people's hearts. Like keeping it humble. And that was like just interesting, like just them like kind of like talking about like their backstory about themselves in a spin-off game, which is crazy. Because like I didn't play City Folk and whatever was the game before that, like when they were really delving more into like the backstories, I was like, shit, like this kid's game has lore, dude. That's nuts.
I'm glad that you explained that, because I was about to say he was from the 80s hair metal, and he was all about bitches and drugs, and then that fell apart. He broke up with the bands because he would only it wouldn't be about the music, it would be about the parties, and yeah. KK Slider, now he's like living in your house and like, I used to be a legend, man.
Keyword used to.
Yeah. But I like your story much better.
Yeah.
I have an update. Apparently, also about Kawasumi. Apparently, she was also Arena, Jonathan Joestar's wife in JoJo.
Huh.
Interesting, because now everybody's all like, happy birthday, and I'm like, wait, what? Really? I guess so. Oh, she was Bonta-kun in Full Metal Panic.
Huh.
Jeez.
Who's that?
The mascot, Bonta-kun.
Okay.
Fumafu. And then she is as Jun from Pre-Connect.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There's of course Artoria, but we'll skip that. Fu from Samurai Champloo. Yeah. I knew that she would have been in a bunch of stuff, in a bunch of crap.
More that food.
Fo.
Oh, whatever you say it.
And she's what is that? Masked Cell from Cells at Work in Cells at Work Season 2. Interesting. Masked Cell is the one that like directs all the other cells and where to go.
So you could say she's the king.
She's overly worked, that's for sure. I think that was like the last episode I saw from season 2 is where she had the meltdown because they were like not giving her a break and she couldn't eat her cookies. So she's all like, bitches, get off my nuts, I want to eat my cookies. So
I mean, who cares about this dude's body? Let me eat my cookies.
Yeah, exactly. Saber wants to eat her stupid cookies.
I mean, do you doubt it?
No, I think that again, one of my favorite Saber moments was a bitch maid alter. So in Carnival Phantasm. So yeah, when she has a meltdown, that's when she's at her best, and she just goes full on bitch mode. So yeah, but yeah, again, happy birthday to Kawasumi. Yeah. Speaking of which, since you brought up Neo Geo MVF's cabinets and it's Kawasumi's birthday, did you know that she also did Hinako in King of Fighters?
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
For Roman and anybody else that's not familiar with KOF, Hinako is Russian and her grandmother's Japanese, and she's infatuated with sumo wrestling.
Yeah.
And so she debuted in the women's team of KOF 2000. And I think if I remember right, a couple of her moves had power armor on, so she can like absorb a blow and still keep going. But yes, she's a Russian girl that dresses kind of like a pseudo-looking maid, and she's obsessed with sumo wrestling.
Yeah.
And that was Kawasumi. One of her early roles too, when she wasn't really doing much of anything either. So that was like 99-ish 2000, because it was literally King of Fighters 2000. But yeah. So that was definitely, that's some trivia for you right there. I've never encountered a KOF 2000 machine in the wild. I did play KOF 2001 in Hawaii at the arcade out there. When someone was telling me, they were like, oh yeah, dude, go check out this arcade in Hawaii, it's legit. And it was basically like a Gulfland kind of style arcade. And that was when I met a local there, and he had been at the arcade, and I was talking to him because I was like, oh yeah, dude, I'm part of this emulation forum, and we're all about like, emulation and emulating games, and we're all like, oh, KOF and Coax and online play and MAME and all that. And he's all like, oh yeah, dude, I love 2001. I was like, oh yeah, who do you use? I was like, oh, I use Goro Diamond. I'm like, Grappler, that's different. Don't really know too much about them. And I was all like, dude, grapplers kind of suck. And he gave me this reaction that looked like Dave Chappelle as Prince when Charlie Murphy insulted him. That's how he looked. He had that... And then he just is all like, he proceeds to go to the machine, puts his money in, picks Goro Diamond, puts him as stock 4. So in other words, that's the only one. Everybody else are striker characters. So Goro Diamond is his point, and it gets all of his strength. And then proceeds to destroy the game. He goes from stage 1 to the boss. He goes all the way through and murderates. Was it Igris? I think that's how I pronounce his name. The leader of the Nest cartel. Just destroys, obliterates, scorched earths him. And it was so bad, he went up against the Psycho Soldier team, so Athena and Kenso, and he's fighting Bao, and he does Goro's desperation move on Bao, and it's the one where he's just like slam, and I'm like, bruh, he put Bao's brains on the sidewalk. That little boy, he ain't even gone to elementary school and he's dead. This big ass Japanese grappler dude just murdered this child. And I was all like, alright, grapplers are legit. I rescind my statement.
Dude, it's like that episode of Fighterpedia on grapplers.
Yeah? Man.
Yeah.
Man, I know we talked about this on Messenger yesterday, but remember, like Justin Wong said, he gonna learn today. Well, I learned that day. I learned. Yes, grapplers are don't mess with them. So, oddly enough, years later, I had a conversation about that where it was literally between who would win in a fight, a boxer or a grappler, like a wrestler. And the point was made, it was all like, a boxer, they'll keep punching you. And this is not like a mixed martial arts boxer either, just like Balrog, like Mike Bison. Mike Bison. Just punching you, right? And it's all like, eventually though, that grappler or that wrestler, he's going to grab your arm if you keep extending it like that. And when he does, it's broke. It's over. And I was like, I wish I would have learned that before Bao had to be made into an example. Is Bao even in the KOF Gotcha game? I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so.
They have a gotcha game?
Yeah. Was it King of Fighters All-Stars or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah. They even did a collaboration with WWE.
Wow.
Yep.
I know, everybody's been asking me too. They're like, you gonna play? And I'm like, no, I think I'll get beat by the SNK AI like a normal person. Cheating ass AI. Fuck that AI, dude. All of them! It doesn't even matter. All of them! All of them are the worst. All of them are the worst. All of them are awful. Man. Remember when I was fighting 97 Orochi and I was all like, alright, it's like 7 o'clock. I'll get this done real quick. Finally, I beat him. I'm like, God damn, that took forever. What time is it? Midnight!
Oh, shit.
Because I was trying to get the story ending, so I was using Kyo, Yori, and Chizuru, and I'm all like, alright. And I was like, oh god. SNK bosses are the worst. Oh, the absolute worst.
Yep.
Oh, man. I can't imagine doing it like you were doing in the arcade life like that, man. So many quarters.
Yep.
Oh, man. But then
God, fucking Omega Regal. Good lord, dude. Fuck that guy, man.
Talking 98 or 2002?
98.
98? Yeah.
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 Yeah, like 98 and 96. Not 96, I'm sorry, 95.
Yeah, 95. Yeah, because 96 is my boy Go Nuts. It's my boy.
Yeah, nuts.
Go Nuts. Yeah, go these nuts. Go Nuts.
Yep.
Oh, man. You know, I remember I was, when we were leaving EVO, 2015, I think, or 2015, and I was trying to tell one of our friends about the old Hong Kong Chinese KOF comics, and I was like, bro, I loved those fucking comics. Those comics were the absolute shit. you had Kula and K-Dash fighting on the roof of an airplane as it was in midair. And he fucking soldered his feet into the airplane so he wouldn't get burnt off. And Kula's like, what are you, a moron? And she just froze her feet into the plane. And I was like, these comics are ridiculous. But, yeah, they were great. And they did them all the way. They even did CVS and CVS 2. And the last one I remembered them making was even SNK vs. Capcom Chaos.
Wow.
So they had Shiki and Zero in that bitch, like Mega Man Zero. And I was like, oh. And there was even a website that, although they didn't scanlate it, they basically did translations. And so they were just saying, okay, so in this panel, this is what's going on. In this panel, it's just Kula saying she doesn't understand why K-Dash is such a moron and all this and that. And in the same 2000 comic, it had Kyo and Iori, since they were basically irrelevant in 2000. They just met, and then they just had a showdown. They ended up blowing up the KOF arcade cabinet, then they jumped into, like, Lamborghinis, and they started racing with their tires on fire. So it was amazing. It was great. I love it. I don't know if it was necessarily considered manhwa, but it certainly felt like it. And they even had one where it was the KOF Max comic, which they just didn't even care. They had, because Fio was one of the strikers in 2000. Fio was in there running recon intelligence on her hang glider. And then they had Kyo's cousin and Kyo's like distant relative from the KOF RPG on PSX. They were even in there because they were referenced. And King's little brother ended up inheriting Orochi's power because he needs a vessel, and so fuck you, that's why. Oh, they were great, man. They don't make manga like they do these days, man. God, they don't. I'm sorry, Sakiel, let me put it to you in terms like this. I wanted to become the ultimate demonic Japanese serpent lord, so my brother inherited his spirit. That's the isekai title. Now you're ready to watch it. So I'm a Japanese demonic serpent overlord, so what? Oh, man.
So it's like, I'm a clone of Kyo, so what?
Yeah, exactly. At least they were committed to it when they made K49, and they actually were like, he's going to be Tetsuo. He has nothing to do with K or Kyo, and we're going to go get his actual voice actor from Akira. And he did it! He actually showed up and he did it! I think that was the only time, or that's the reason why he never came back, though, was because I guess the huge involvement it took to do all that. And so that's why he's not like in 13, 14, 15, because they really went out of their way. They were like, we're just going to make Tetsuo. And they did. And he was in there. He was in 01. He was in 02. And then at the end of 02, he just like disintegrated according to the story.
Wow.
Yeah. He was just too strong. And then in reality, it's just because they didn't want to ever do that ever again. So, but yeah. Yeah. I haven't even seen the trailer for 15, so I have no idea what's going on with that. But I've seen some of the articles floating around. But yeah.
Yeah, 'cause I think for now they're just doing character reveals, basically.
No gender bent Terry, no deal. Yeah, I keep seeing your articles too about about the Neo Geo Pocket archive coming over to the Switch, and I'm all like, oh, are they gonna bring Queen of Fighters? And Queen of Fighters never got an official release though, so I'm like, well, I mean, I've got my physical copy because I don't mess with this digital stuff, but I can't find my Neo Geo Pocket, so I don't know what I'm gonna do. But I have the game. I have that. I have my copy of Match of the Millennium, and I have my copy of KOF R2, Round 2. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's all I have. Mm-hmm. Everything else is lost to the ether. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
Yep.
So Roman?
Yeah.
What was your video game experience? You just started playing Final Fantasy VII Remake?
Yeah, I just started, like, Saturday. I'm only on chapter 5. So Aries hasn't even joined the party yet. So still pretty early into it, but it's fun. I like it a lot.
Roman is about to come out like hella thug, like Eris.
Who?
Like thug, like Eris. Eris is from the hood, man.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, she's
Coming out with the steel chair. Oh no! That man has a family.
She's over there. She's telling the ref. She's like, "Ref, look over there." Ref's like, "Where?" And then she takes the chair. I remember when I saw the screenshot of her going shit, and the first thing I said is, "My goodness, they got Maya Sakamoto to say shit."
Yeah.
I mean, I don't because she does do Jalter, and Jalter was pretty vulgar, but at least none of the recorded lines was her saying like vulgarities or cussing. She said it in the text boxes, but that's just her talking shit. Because that's part of the character. Is she just is all like, I'm miserable, I'm awful, and then they're like, no, you're not. You're actually pretty sympathetic. She's like, no, shut up, hate me. But yeah, she never cussed though in the game in her spoken lines. So the first thing that struck me as odd, and on top of that too, Maya Sakamoto, to my knowledge, just doesn't have a trend of doing like fan servicey characters. So for her to basically capture her cussing, that struck me as weird. But yeah. Remember, she little brother zoned you on Valentine's Day when she gave you her swimsuit chocolate.
I don't think I got that one.
Oh, you didn't get Reese?
Oh, yeah, I did get it.
Yeah. And then I can't recall if they actually made that peanut butter joke or not, but
I don't think so.
okay.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Funny enough about the rankings that you also posted too, Zach was like number 10.
Yeah.
And I just want to remind everybody that that's her husband. So
Well, he sucks.
Oh, Jesus. Jeez. Brutal. Don't get me wrong, man. I'm with you. I agree. That's always been my running joke. When everyone's just like, oh, Cloud the best and all that, blah, blah, blah. And I'm all like, yeah, well, my boy Laguna, he's the best. And if you don't need to believe me, just remember that Soldier First Class, their biggest weakness tends to be bullets.
Yeah.
So, you don't need to take my word for it. It's right there for you. Well, I'm not putting anything out there that can't be factually proven. So I'd be more than happy to provide my research on how I arrived to my conclusion. So, but yeah, no, that's Zach in Advent Children, and I believe Advent Children is the first time he spoke, and then in Crisis Core, yes, that's Mr. Maya Sakamoto. And obviously they've done numerous stuff together. Romani and Da Vinci, Luna Maria and Sheen and Gundam Seed Destiny. And then they were gonna do apparently he also does Tawada in FGO. And so that's why I was like, oh, it's gonna be Mr. and Mrs. Maya Sakamoto again in the Camelot movie. And then they were like, oh yeah, there's no Tawada, and I was like, never mind. So much for that. But yeah, they apparently that's a running thing that they'll do shows together. So that's adorable.
I mean, they both gotta contribute to the household.
I guess so, but let's be honest, we ain't going over there to watch Mr. Maya Sakamoto. We're there for the missus.
Yeah, well, you gotta deal with them anyway.
They're like, shut up, Zach, get out of the way. Hi, Eris, how you doing?
Yeah, she's number 3.
She's number 3. Yeah, I believe it. Everyone. I mean, I was just happy that Tifa made the list because I was like, if she wasn't gonna beat Eris, then she was at least gonna be top 10. I couldn't see otherwise. I I wonder how it would have been broken down, though, if they would have split the list into, like, male and female. Because I wonder if Terra would have ranked.
That's 6, right?
Yeah. Unless you're a giant weeb, and then it's Tina. But in Dissidia, they call her Terra, so... Hey.
Well, they got it wrong.
Yeah. Jeez. Laguna in Duodecim, the upgrade to Dissidia is voiced by Sanji, so... It just gets better. Just gets better and better and better. I'm telling you. Songs. Yeah, that's my boy. And it's all like, but he's Squall's dad, and I'm like, well, we all make mistakes. So,
Yeah, you don't get to choose your parents.
yeah, exactly. So, you know, man. So, do you know our friend Troy Main? He didn't even know that.
No?
No, he didn't know that until I told him, what, 2013 maybe? 2014? He's all like, shut your ass up! And I was like, nah, dude, that's Squall that's his dad. Like, what is his dad? He's like, what you talking about? And then our other friend Jose would be like, yeah, dude, that's his dad. And so then I had to go pull it up on the wiki, and I was like, yeah, I didn't think it was that obscure. They didn't flat out admit it, but it was insinuated that that's his dad. And I was just like, sorry. But yeah.
So they never actually said it.
No, they didn't say it, but it was insinuated.
Unconfirmed.
Unconfirmed. Okay. Alright. So even in Duodecim, when they go up against each other, they have an intro line where Squall is just like, this guy's nothing but a bad dream. And then Laguna is just like looking back like, ugh, just like shaking his head. Like, this loser. So like, this loser, that's your sperm. What are you talking about? It's your fault. You did this to us.
It's like Jet and Titus.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man. Jet was a you know, at least he showed some emotion for his dad and all that. Titus of course being same voice actor as Kurosaki Ichigo, and we all know what happened with that guy. Can you imagine that? He goes from playing his debut role is literally Titus in Final Fantasy X, and then he goes on to become one of the biggest Shonen Jump characters of all time.
And then he turns into Johnny Young Bosch.
Yeah, took a demotion. He went down. It was one of those bad evolution paths, or yeah, where it's like the upgrade gets worse. That's not right. I don't. No offense to JYB, he's all right. He's all right until he brutally murdered Vic and took over his role. Hey guys, I'm Vic. I'm here to be brilliant. Ah! Hi guys, I'm Johnny Young Bosch. I'm here to be Johnny Young Bosch in Dragon Ball Z. That's literally how the audition went. I promise you that. Oh man, and it was so bad they even replaced him in the video game. That's how you know they were serious. But
Or just be like Troy Baker and just be stuck like voicing cowboys.
you know, okay, so they're playing Peace Walker right now, Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker. Steve Bloom is in this bitch.
Yeah.
I was like, bro, I haven't heard of Steve Bloom in a minute. What has he been doing lately?
Not Spike Spiegel.
No, not Spike Spiegel. But the Japanese voice for Spike Spiegel is apparently Tanaka Rie's ex-husband.
Oh shit.
That's a power couple right there. Yeah, that's her ex.
Wow.
But yeah. By the way, Tanaka Rie totally looked good last week's live stream.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. She had her goth dress on and everything. Oh yeah. And then she put out her tweet where she's like, you know, please be sure to release a bunch of Heaven's Whole. And I'm like, Tanaka, you a freak, girl. What is wrong with you? But she is a low-key freak. Well, I wouldn't even say low-key. She's pretty blatant about it. She's pretty high-key about her freak. But yeah. And they even did talk about her Kiara costume and all of that. So I was like, wow. They acknowledged it. Because usually in these live streams, you know, they don't like to admit or talk about things that, you know, that hasn't happened or they're not a part of or they don't want to give any money or credit to. and they did bring up her Kiara costume, and it was like interesting. I didn't think they were going to do that, but yeah. And then afterwards, she tweeted that out, released a bunch of Heaven's Hole, and I'm like, well, I don't want to let my nun down, you know. Don't want to disappoint her. But yeah. But yeah, dude. So Mr. and Mrs. Maya Sakamoto, Eris and Zack, and then Zack dies, and then Proto Merlin steps in, and it's like, sup. So, and it's all like, oh, there you go, game over. And I have this meme too. I can't share it yet. They shared it in Facebook on the Messenger. But God, I'll share it in Discord after we're done recording this. But here you go. At least Roman can watch it. So remember the joke. Proto Merlin is voiced by Kawasumi, and then there's that Sakurai as Arthur. So he goes, "Oh, Yaku Kawasumi always has been." No! No, don't do it! Don't do it! So, which is also pretty cute. I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty clever. They did that. That Merlin is Sakurai and Saber is Kawasumi, but then in Proto it's flipped. So Sakurai is Arthur and Merlin is Kawasumi. I think that's pretty meta. That's pretty effing meta. And that debuted in the audio CD for the light novel. So we had already had an idea that was going down, but yeah, the fact they kept it, that's pretty meta. And she's 45 years old, so I wouldn't be surprised if Proto Merlin is the 60th anniversary. If not for the Camelot Singularity or Lost Belt, so. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
No?
Nah. I quite honestly, I think that it's going to come down to MILF Drid versus Proto Arthur. I honestly think that that's what's going to happen, but you know. Which, as we're approaching the end of the conversation, I think is funny that now that's the modern day of gaming. Now is all gacha games.
Yeah.
It's like, you serious? Everything is loot boxes and gacha games now, and that was always the argument that I knew, like me and a couple of others were always using with these kids that are like, I spent $500 and I didn't get anything, and it was like, bitch, I spent $60 and I was stuck with it. you know, like I told you, like Nintendo Power, they were just propaganda for Nintendo, and they did pretty good jobs of hyping up games. It's like, oh, this is so cool. Then you would get your hands on it and be like, this game sucks ass. What? So, and you know, again, you don't need to believe me. Angry Video Game Nerd made his entire career off that. Mm-hmm. So, it'd be like, you know, what was it, the Milon Secret Castle. He's all like, Nintendo Power, like, look how cool this game looks. And then he plays the game, he's like, this game's ass. It's like, dude, that happened so many times. Section Z, and that was a Capcom game.
I like that game.
I can never figure that game out. That game pissed me off.
Oh, I never said I figured it out. I just liked it. Man. Oh, man. He didn't really tell you where to go. You just had to kind of wander around.
Yeah. Hope you survived long enough. You know, okay, so that explains a lot. So Roman likes games like that, basically that have no end. Section Z doesn't really have an end. RC Pro-Am never ends. RC Pro-Am literally loops. If you complete this, was it 16 or 32 races? Then it just loops again. The whole thing just loops.
Nice.
So,
I just remember liking the game.
The game was fun while you were winning, and then after like the 10th race and the AI starts cheating, it's like, okay, this game sucks.
That's why you don't let it cheat.
Yeah. Game Genie.
Yeah.
Yep.
You cheat. Out cheat the cheater.
So, Sakya, let me ask you then.
Okay.
Favorite old school Sonic?
Favorite old school Sonic? It has to be 2D Sonic, like all the way, and that's why I marked out when Sonic Mania like came out, I was like, oh shit. Yes, I like the classic 2D chubby Sonic.
Are you fat shaming? You call him chubby.
No, because Sakiel also likes Game Boy Pikachu.
Ah. Pikachu that ate all the other Pikachus.
Yeah, that's right. There can only be one. And then what's your favorite modern Sonic? Just say Sonic 06.
Oh no. I was about to say something, but I was like, oh no, we're doing the podcast, and I was about to say something else about that. No, because like every time I think of Sonic 06, right?
Yeah.
Like I keep thinking about like, oh god, like was it like that Game Grumps clip or something?
Yeah.
Which just like was it like with like Aaron just like screaming?
No, you're right, and it's funny that you brought that up because remember that's what JonTron tweeted out after all those allegations came out last week. He's all like, "Yo, so we gonna finish Sonic 06?" And is that what he was referencing?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Because that was JonTron's retribution, basically, because, he had his whole drama going on, and Game Grumps kind of disassociated themselves with him and threw him under the bus, and now he's getting the last laugh. So,
Yep.
but, that's pretty funny. Yeah, and I don't know, I was going to say something about the movie, but the movie was alright. So, let me put it to you like this. So, if in some sweet justice and irony, I was walking in on our friends when we all used to live together, and they were trying to play Super Mario World. They didn't even know how to hold down the Y button to run. And they were just like, it was awful. It was literally awful. And so then I was like, oh my god, give me the controller. And so I started dual wielding. I got so frustrated, I took the controller from both of them, and I was both Mario and Luigi, and I just got all the way through Star Road. And I was just like, this is how you play it. Take notes. And then, sometime later, they got over, I don't know if this was maybe the Sega Collection, or maybe it was the GameCube Sega Collection, and then I'm playing, and I'm like, okay, what am I doing? And I'm playing Sonic, and I'm like, okay, what am I doing? And they were like, yeah, who's smug now, jackass? And I'm like, I don't fucking play Sonic. This shit sucks. Sega sucks. What is this? What am I doing? I only know Jaleel White as Sonic, as the voice of Sonic. That's all I know. I know Sonic Saturday Morning. That's all I know. And so then I got to the edge, right? And the enemy was right on the bottom. And so I fell off the ledge to land on the enemy, and I took damage instead. I was like, I thought he could jump on him. And they were like, no, dude, you gotta be spinning. He's like a buzzsaw. He spins into him. And I'm like, but you fall on top of him. He's like, nah, man. I was like, this shit sucks. Get out of here. Fuck, your hedgehog drowned underwater, okay? My fat Italian plumber doesn't drown.
He floats.
He floats, that's right. Whack-ass blue hedgehog. Can't even jump on an enemy normally like a normal person. Yeah, so that was the trade-off, and it always ended. I always got to the underwater level, and that's where I got stuck. And I was like, okay, this is why Sega died. I'm done. But then Sega also started making Valkyria Chronicles, and so I was like, okay, they don't suck as much anymore. But yeah. By the way, I heard that Aoyuki is in Valkyrie C4, so even more reason for me to get off my ass and go play it someday. But yeah, anyways. Yeah. I was just happy in the Sonic the movie when they did the whole like Sega crawl, like how Marvel does their like Marvel crawl. So Sega just threw all their games, and Yakuza and Valkyria Chronicles were on there. And it was Welkin from Valkyrie C1. And I was like, wow, they went with the OG. All right. And remember, that was supposed to be a 360 exclusive. And Microsoft, they were like, we don't want this weeb shit. What is weeb games? Get this out of here. And so then they were like to Sony, and Sony's like, sure, we're Japanese. We love weeb stuff. And then there you go. A franchise was born.
But we're gonna censor it.
No, Valky C wasn't censored. Valky C wasn't censored. Good for them. Yeah. If it was on Nintendo, it would have been censored. But yeah. 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 But yeah.
Yeah.
All right. We're approaching the time limit on this, but yeah. This was fun. This was a good pointless, mindless conversation. Thank you. This is a good idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think through your experiences, we all experienced shared experiences, and I'm using the word experience because yeah, but that's pretty meta. So yeah, thank you for sharing.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because it's like, with just how things are going on still now, it's like, God, I just want to go to CAX again. Like, dude, that's like my convention. Like, you know how you guys is like are all about like Fanime and Anime Expo and all that. For me, it's California Extreme because like all like the old classic arcade cabinets and like pinball. That's the other thing too. Like I haven't discussed is like other than like like the arcade games, like the video games. Like I was also like really heavy on pinball too. Like pinball was my jam. So like whenever like there's like pinball like at CAX, it's like that's like one of the pinball tables I have to play first because like, dude, that's my childhood right there. It was like pinball.
Which one was Pinbot?
It's a robot centric pinball table. So you have it where it's like they have like these two like ball catchers. I'm trying to remember the terminology like off the top of my head, but I can't at the moment. So like if you trap the balls in those two sockets, then it unlocks like a bonus mode, which is kind of like it's like multi-ball and jackpot mode.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like the narrator, like the character, like for the game is a robot, so he has like a very like robotic voice, and then but that was like the thing back then because like Pinbot was like late 90s, I think, like maybe like late 90s ish, like game, maybe earlier than that. Yeah, so it's kind of like at that time where it's like, like they're trying to like go like with all like the mechs and stuff and robots and everything. So it's like, oh, we're gonna do like this robot themed like pinball game, So that was cool. And then like they got in more like advanced like with the tables. Like one is that I really like is Theater of Magic because like they utilize like the mirrors like in the table, like for the ball to disappear. They use like magnets like for the ball, like all these little gimmicks like they would do on the table like back then. But now it's like for the more modern pinball machines, it's all like for like the video screen. So it's like, oh, you unlock a mode and like they'll play like little videos like on this little like video screen like on like the back glass, which is really cool. So
John Papaduke, why does he sound familiar? Okay. I'm looking it up right now. Theater of Magic, the machine.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, that was like, like when like Midway and Wellings was still a thing, like when they were doing tables.
Right.
Stern Pinball is still a thing. They're still doing tables.
Yeah, no, you're right. Because I remember we went to round 1 and there was like a Guardians of the Galaxy machine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I think a more recent like Star Wars one as well, like based off the Disney trilogy.
Mhm.
So yeah, they're still cranking them out.
Yeah.
And
like with the pinball tournaments and all that, like those are really crazy too.
Tournaments? Like is it?
Yeah,
is
they
it...
have tournaments, dude. So it's pretty much like who can like score the high scores. So like you would see like these professional pinball players like doing these crazy tricks and shit like on the table. Like it's crazy. Like I think like Papa Pinball does that. Like he does like the VODs of like the tournaments, and it's like it's some crazy shit, dude.
Is it time attack? Because it can't be points based because they would never get off the table.
It could be a little bit of both, but it's just basically like you know, like you start with the 3 balls, right? And it's like whoever drains the 3 balls, like I guess like the last person who drains them like has like the highest score wins.
Yeah.
But they'll do like some tricky shit, dude. Like, oh man.
Yeah, because I can't imagine a professional pinball player ever like losing. Mm-hmm. Like, they would just know all the, like you said, all the tricks to keep the ball in play. So it's all like you would have to like be like, okay, score as many points in like 10 minutes, and then just go. But I guess not. Maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, or like how you can like adjust like the incline of the table too. They might like adjust like the incline where it's like it's pretty high, so the ball would drain faster.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So then they have to get someone with like a measuring tape and all that.
I would guess, because like I would see like some of the pinball tables like actually have like you know, like those little like level bubbles or whatever those are called, like used for construction. Like I've seen them like have those like if they ever want to like level off the table and stuff. So
wow. All right. Yeah, I'm with you. I would love to go to CAX, but it just never works out for me.
Yeah.
So
plus, I mean, it's a 2-day event too. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say that you should come to Evo, but now that Sony bought Evo.
Yeah.
I've
been meaning to go to Evo, but the thing is like Evo was like, you know, like in the ass crack of summer in Vegas, and I'm like, no.
Okay. The weather thing, it could just be that I've gone so many times now. I think I've gone 5 or 6 years now. You just get used to it. You just get over it. But it does take a minute to adjust, and when you are adjusting and going through it, it sucks. No doubt. But the energy and the atmosphere definitely make up for it, and you know, when you just get to have more of an intimate one-on-one talk with some of the guys you see on stream and all that, and you basically learn that most of them are just personalities. Like, they're not really dicks or anything. That's just them, you know, putting up a show to get your Twitch donation or your Twitch subscription. And really, they'll talk to you. They'll chop it up with you. And they'll even take your drink if you buy them one.
Yeah, because it was like for Maximilian, right? Like I first met him like during the PlayStation experience at when I was at Moscone. Like I think it was like back in like 2015 or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, because like that was when they're trying to promote Street Fighter V. That was like the first time I met him. I'm like, holy shit, this guy's tall.
Yeah.
Max is a tall dude.
Yeah. We asked his wife to get a photo. So we're like, yeah. So and they were cool about it. And their line too at Evo, and they you know, their autograph sessions and all that always goes like around the room. It wraps around the room. Yeah.
I think Wooly and Liam were there too, but I didn't get a chance to say hi to them. But I've been told like they were also there.
Yes, we saw Wooly one year. He was hungover on the bench outside of the hotel, and our friend Johnny, he was all like, "Oh, dude, go get a photo." And sure enough, he was like, "Huh? Yeah. We can do a photo real quick, yeah." And so then he got a photo with him.
Oh my God.
I think 2 years ago, now 3 years ago, so this was like 2019 or 2018, Kenny was cosplaying as Eddie Gordo from the Tekken 7, so the leopard suit, so the leopard jacket and all that, so got a photo of him like that, so yeah, it was good stuff. It's good stuff.
Oh wow.
And thank you for bringing up Evo too, and I know we're running out of time, but you just reminded me as well that Arc System's earliest game was Roman's favorite, the classic Sailor Moon fighting game on Super Nintendo?
I used to play that.
Who'd you main?
Jupiter.
Fair. Jupiter is the best inner senshi, but I'm a Neptune overall. But yeah, that was Arc System, and when they had their history of, because they were promoting Xrd, and well, this is like same year I think that I took that picture of Kenny. But yeah, they were having their whole like big like flashback retrospective of ArcSys, and they were actually talking about the Sailor Moon fighting game. And it's funny because they still do run tournaments of that at EVO, and it usually gets in like 200 to 300 entrants. So I think that might be as many as like Street Fighter Cross Tekken.
Just be Chibi Moon and just like chip people.
so wrong.
I know, right?
But I mean that is totally an ArcSys thing to do. But you know. So, but yeah, that you reminded me of all of that. But yeah, game was fun though. I'm not gonna lie, the game is fun, and like MVC2 proved, when everything is broken, that's when the game is actually fun. But yeah.
So I think that's.
Unless it's Tekken 7 with Leroy.
Jeez.
They added a Leroy.
Yeah. Is it not? I keep wanting to call him Leroy Jenkins because that's the meme, but no, it's was it Leroy Willis or something?
Oh God, I don't remember.
Yeah.
Like Leroy Lewis or something.
Yeah.
God, I don't remember,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah. Basically, he uses
Wing Chun.
Ipmon. Yeah, he uses Ipmon style. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what it's known from now on.
Yeah.
Hitmon style.
Ipmon style. He uses that Johnny UN shit, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah. But yeah.
I think that should wrap it up.
Yeah. It was good. This was like Ken Watanabe said, this is good conversation.
Yes.
So,
As he said to the white man.
that's right. This is the last samurai.
The very first weeb.
This first weeb. That's right. His contributions allowed me to exist. Yeah. Well, I look forward to Roman Salt in 2 weeks, as of this recording.
Maybe salt.
Yeah.
We have to see.
Okay.
Also, if it's going to be salt, then I'm probably not even going to talk about it, because why would I want to talk about like Godzilla if I'm not even going to be watching it anymore?
Oh, that's right. You're gonna retire.
Your whole
Yeah.
podcast.
If Kong wins, I retire from Godzilla forever. So
What if it's an ambiguous ending, like a dirty finish? Like they both kind of just walk away, or like Godzilla, you see like his tail rise out of the water or something at the end of the movie.
well, then I guess I got to keep going.
Oh.
But yeah.
So you get your justice in the post-credit scene.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not expecting any of them to die, because I mean, it's Kong and Godzilla. But Godzilla better win.
I don't know, man. Like I said, this is it's pretty nerve-wracking. And when's it come out? Friday, right, or Thursday?
Comes out soon.
Are you going
Wednesday, I think.
And it's for streaming and in theater?
Yeah.
Or which one are you going to do?
I want to go see it in theater because it's one of those you got to go see in theaters at least once kind of movies.
Okay.
Plus, I don't want to download HBO Max and pay for it just to watch that, watch it, and potentially be disappointed.
Well, as soon as it happens, I mean, you should do something. You should either make a video for the channel, like Roman reacts to Kong v Godzilla, or in the Discord, just do that, throw up the spoiler tag, and just be like, eh. But you have to give some sort of a reaction. And I won't. You don't have to record you burying your Godzilla stuff. But I mean, if it comes to that, I will definitely enjoy the entertainment.
Just be this flaming dumpster.
Yeah. It was like what's his face, the pink guy when he's all like, the garbage bag, throws it in the garbage can. He's all like, "Know your place, trash."
Oh, that dude.
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, Filthy Frank.
Filthy Frank. Thank you, man. Why can't I remember that?
Yeah.
But no, and like I said, my Kokoro goes out to Roman because you never want to see your childhood heroes go out like that. But that's gonna be frustrating, and it could honestly go either way because it is an American-based production, so you would think they'd be more favorable to Kong, but you do want to court. Was it Toei, right, or Toho? Toho.
Mm-hmm.
You want to court Toho because Godzilla is well, at least right now, way more popular than Kong. So you don't want them to be able to, like, weren't you the Americans that just dumped all over our property? Yeah, fuck you.
Nah, it's a bad example because Kong won the one from Toho.
Oh, then in the rubber band match, then Godzilla needs to get this one.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, for the rubber band match, and then they need to settle it in a third pay-per-view. Using wrestling terms now.
Wrestling terms.
Yeah, the rubber band match. So he wins this one, and then they're like, no, that was dirty, and then they gotta get the follow up, and then it's like and then they're like they do the final showdown, and then Mechagodzilla comes out, and they're like and then they just go their mutual way. Yeah,
that's probably what's gonna happen.
Do you want to do that then? Do you want to watch the second CG movie for next week's viewing party?
Oh, I haven't seen it yet, so that would work out.
Okay, let's do it.
Unless I've given up and then no.
Fair enough.
It all depends on how things go.
Okay.
With this movie.
All right.
Have a backup just in case.
Wow. That wasn't a suggestion. That was a warning.
Yeah.
Man, all right. Don't fuck with Godzilla. I guess my closing thought then to Roman before I let him go and stop grilling him is Mothra a waifu?
Mothra?
Yes.
That's a tough question.
Okay.
I mean, it's the only, as far as I know, female monster in the MonsterVerse. So, I guess by default right now, she could take the top spot.
Default. All right. I'm done bashing Roman, and I do sincerely wish him the best of luck, but we'll see. See what happens.
See what happens. Gonna be avoiding everything for a while when the movie comes out because I know there's gonna be spoilers.
It's gonna be Saturday and be like, have you guys heard from Roman? Alright.
Yeah.
Alright, so thank you guys. Thank you for sharing. We'll talk to you again later.
Yep. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yep.
Alright.
Till then, bye.
Late.
Later.